The Quran contradicts science. Assalamu alaikum. Sometimes, or actually too often, we come across people that say that the Quran cannot be the word of God because some verses contradict science. Now, if that was the truth, then they would have a point, right? But they come with verses like the one that we're going to analyze today. So let's see what science actually has to say about that. Let me take you to the Quran, chapter 23, verse 13 and 14. God made humans from a drop in a secure repository, then developed the drop into a clinging clot, then developed the clot into a lump, then developed the lump bones, then clothed the bones with flesh. Now, some translations say develop the lump into bones, but in the Arabic Quran, there's no word into, so let's not put it there, okay? But we do want to know the last part, clothed the bones with flesh. But before we say anything, we're going to educate ourselves. So, stick with me, we're going to read about human embryology. The stages of differentiation in stem cells of a human embryo. Fertilization and zygote formation. After fertilization, the sperm and egg combine to form a zygote, which is a single totipotent cell. A totipotent cell has the potential to differentiate into any cell type, including extraembryonic tissues like the placenta. As the zygote undergoes rapid cell division, it transforms into a multicellular structure called a morula, and subsequently into a blastocyst. The blastocyst is composed of a trophoblast, that is the outer layer that contributes to forming the placenta, and the inner cell mass, the inner group of cells which will develop into the embryo itself. Gastrulation. Gastrulation is the process where the blastocyst reorganizes into a three-layered structure known as the gastrula. The three germ layers formed are the ectoderm, the mesoderm, and the endoderm. The ectoderm will give rise to the central nervous system, the skin, and various other structures. The mesoderm will form bones, muscles, flesh, cartilage, blood, and connective tissues. The endoderm will develop into the internal organs like the lungs, liver, and gastrointestinal tract. Now, we want to know what happens first, bones or muscles, so we're going to focus on the mesoderm, okay? Mesoderm form besides the neural tube into paired structures called somites. There are three types of somites. The sclerotome, that will form the vertebra and ribs. The dermatome will develop into the dermis of the skin, and the myotome that will give rise to skeletal muscles. Now, what comes first? Sequence of events. Sclerotome. The ventromedial part of each somite differentiates into the sclerotome. Cells from the sclerotome migrate around the notochord and neural tube to form the vertebra and associated structures such as ribs. Dermatome. The dorsolateral part of each somite gives rise to the dermatome, which will contribute to the dermis of the skin. Myotome. The cells of the somite that remain after the sclerotome has migrated will form the myotome. The myotome subsequently differentiates into muscle cells, contributing to skeletal muscle formation. Conclusion. The sclerotome differentiates and begins its formation process slightly earlier than the myotome, which forms the flesh. Therefore, in the development timeline, the sclerotome precedes the formation of the flesh. So, what comes first? Bones or flesh? Bones. So it happens exactly like the Quran says, because the substance, that clinging clot, cannot be labeled as flesh because it is still just a ball of cells, okay? In the process of differentiation of cells, it is first the bone cells and later the dermis and the muscles. So that is that, and maybe that is the reason why the highest concentration of stem cells is in the bone marrow. So the next time when you criticize something of the Quran, educate yourself first, you know, because some people even think that the Quran contradicts science, because the Quran says that the sun runs in an orbit and they think that the sun is stationary. Now, before you go to the comment section and say things, please go to the website of the NASA before you comment, okay? So I hope that this brought some clarity. Have a nice day. Bye.